All right, everybody, good morning and welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel. It's another day in the shop, and apparently it's Miata week, which no, CJ didn't drive his today, but Eddie's got his little track car toy Miata. We've been working on Grant's Miata a little bit. Grant's been working on Grant's Miata. There's stuff everywhere going on around here, but somebody broke Florida again, and it was like in the upper 40s this morning at my house, which is just not cool. But anyways, we're at work and got some stuff to show you that we've discovered on SoccerMom's transmission, and some major problems with the Viper. Thought the Viper was good, just needed a quick service before the next Trans Am race at New Orleans, but nope, it's broke. So I'll go back there and show you what Eddie's been working on to get it fixed. And yeah, because it's got to go in the trailer in a couple days to head off to New Orleans. Let's get at it. All right, so another little thing we got going on. Grant's engine showed up for the Corvette, so that'll be going in soon. We've got his Tilton triple carbon clutch that's somewhere around here for it. Real trick piece. Might show you that as we get ready to put that in there. But it's been a thrash of a week so far, and put in some work on Spencer's car, put in some work on the dyno. You can see, like I said, we got Grant's Miata back here. Did a new, I guess his bumper's still out back, but I've been playing with that thing on the dyno just a little bit. Made a couple passes yesterday. CJ's tree trimming. Yes. Our insurance people didn't like tree limbs close to the building, so part of owning a business, got to keep your insurance people happy. Insurance. So, Eddie broke Lee's rear end.
I didn't break anything.
Why did you break Lee's rear end?
I fixed it. I didn't break anything.
So, yeah, like you guys might have seen in the last race about Lee racing Trans Am at Sebring and winning, we thought we were good. Like, thought we just needed to do our normal, like, quick between race service, change the fluids, inspect the brakes, bleed the brakes. We needed to fix the cool shirt, so that was a kind of a little thing we needed to do, but not a big deal there. Adjust the clutch pedal stop, a couple little tiny things. Eddie's changing the fluids like we do, and there's a filter. Yeah, I need a flashlight. You got a flashlight handy?
I can get one.
Let's give me a flashlight. So there's a little filter that we run. It goes between the rear end and the pump, and it catches stuff when stuff blows up. So yeah, there's the little filter. So in that was a little piece of wire, and we're looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I think that's safety wire. And we had all of these bolts safety wired. As you notice, there's some missing, and there's already been some deconstruction work going on here. But check this out. Broke the heads off of the bolts. 5 of them. And the safety wire was loose and wrapped up around some stuff, and I think the ring and pinion's okay, but you can see we got some war wounds on the old case. That's from a previous blow up there that I showed a long time ago. Some of those might not be, but yeah, it actually cracked the case here, so did a little welding on that. Make sure it didn't have any leaks there. But what we decided to do, because it seems like we're only getting a maximum of about 2 races out of this setup. And the problem is, it's a 3/8 bolt in the ring and pinion, and then it's a 7/16 hole in the carrier. So we've machined, you know, these adapters that go in there nice and tight, and they you know, making it where it's a real nice pilot. You can see there's one still here on the broken bolt. But obviously it's not good enough. And it broke the cap, side cap too, which this we've had happen before, and some of our diffs have an upgraded like billet cap on this side, so we're gonna go ahead and order up another one for that. So what we decided to do was to switch to another gear because we had one already fully assembled. This 3/8 bolt 7/16 hole deal is only for the 345 gear that we've been running. So we decided to switch back to a different gear that has 7/16 bolts. It's not quite as fast as the 345 gear, but it really sucks working on them at the racetrack. Like, it is not fun to be on your back, like up under a car, barely up off the ground high enough to get the diff out from under them. We don't have a lift in lease trailer. We wouldn't be able to really use a lift unless it was like a 2-post lift to get the diffs out anyways. So yeah, we're working through all that. And we would prefer not to have to pull this out of the track. Now, that's not saying we haven't done it at the track. We've swapped transmissions, we've swapped rear ends, we've rebuilt entire brake systems. Like, you know, if we crack a rotor, we end up swapping rotors, which we have spares built for the rotors. But yeah, working on them big, hard at the racetrack, like with a production car like this, isn't a whole lot of fun. And we're a pretty small crew compared to a lot of the other teams. Some of the other teams bring 4 guys per car, especially like the upper class Trans Am cars. The Trans Am class cars, they bring a lot of people because those cars, it's not uncommon for those guys to swap engines just like almost before the race starts. Like if they hurt an engine in practice or qualifying, out comes one and in goes another. But yeah, we try to show up and just focus on working the racetrack and tuning the car to the racetrack instead of having to work on a lot of hard parts. But that's kind of where we're at with this mess. You can see our pretty blue fluid we run in the diffs of these things. And that's gonna get this thing wrapped up and ready to go for New Orleans this weekend. We got to give it a bath still, get her cleaned up. But let's get back to that and show you what we figured out on SoccerMom's transmission. Tell you what's going on with that thing. All right, well, while you guys are here, please subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 300,000 subscribers. Been there for a little while. Had some good momentum going, and then till, you know, late last year, and took a longer break than I should have, considering the circumstances, but it is what it is. Can't go back and change it. So, you know, we're moving forward from that. Been getting some more subs than Sick Week and all that stuff, but we need just a few more to get us over 300,000. And then hopefully we'll do something exciting after 300,000. Do some giveaways or something. And if you guys don't know, we've got KSR merch, winwithksr.com, as well as parts. You guys can buy parts from us now. We have a lot of our in-stock inventory listed online. That's ksrraceparts.com. We're going to be continually adding to that. There's also some of our used stuff on there, some of our old parts from SoccerMom, torque converters, some of our old injectors, all kinds of stuff. So, on to SoccerMom, and Derek from Vice Grip Garage keeps blowing me up on something we're working on with his new Chevelle. Actually, no, it's the truck. One of the two. It's a big block that's needing a torque converter. So, I'll figure that out in just a second when I'm done filming, Derek. But, when it comes to stuff that we're learning, we try and pass it on to you guys, because maybe something that we learn may be able to help you with your project at a later date. So, for those of you that don't know, this transmission has been in the KSR family all the way back to 2007. This used to be in Will Stevenson's Outlaw drag radial 3rd gen Camaro. Had a big block with an F2 Pro Charger and a carburetor on it way back then. And then it was in the car all the way up through when he switched to a 2-speed turbo 400 all the way. So I think with this transmission, we went 440s with this transmission, and he had a spare. Well, I bought it from him to use in this car, and obviously that never happened. So when we started working on SoccerMom, we decided to use the transmission in SoccerMom. We knew it would easily hold the kind of power we were looking to make. Initially, SoccerMom was only going to be 900,000 horsepower, you know, somewhere around there, just to go out and have some fun. Now she's 1,600-ish horsepower, and haven't broken anything in the transmission, but we have worn some stuff out. So what we have learned in talking with FTI, and you might be able to see, but we've got some wiggle there on our input shaft. And I remember some of you guys asking about the filing that I did to get the converter on. What I was filing on was this part, not the actual input shaft. So the way these input shafts work, you can see this is a ringless input shaft. Well, there's a bushing that rides here, and there's a bushing that rides here, and then this hole, which you can kind of see, this hole is what feeds fluid out to the torque converter. And it's supposed to be sealed here and sealed there really tightly. So that wiggle right there, and through some measuring on Spencer's transmission, this shaft appears to be worn. I think it's about 5 thousandths compared to the shaft that I measured in Spencer's. I measured your shaft, Spencer. It's a little weird. Cars are, yeah, cars can have some funny wording to them. Let's say that. Between Eddie breaking Lee's rear end and never mind, we're gonna stop with all that. Anyways, so I talked to FTI. This is one of their Pro Mod pumps that I had added after I bought the transmission from Will. It's kind of going through and freshening everything up. And when I called and talked to him about it, he said, well, let's get it back and we'll run it on the dyno, and we may need to replace the bushings in this pump. But what I think is going to happen is we're probably going to have to buy an input shaft. Now, why don't I just buy a new pump and a new input shaft and throw it all in myself and go back to the racetrack or to the dyno to do the test on the converter charge pressure? Well, I want to do some better testing, and they have a transmission dyno that we're going to have them put the transmission on and verify before and after what exactly is going on with our pressures. So this, you can see, cannot wiggle it. It's got maybe just basically about 10% of the wiggle, because it has to have something, but this one takes a lot more force to pull out. And you can see not nearly as much wear or anything. Of course, this thing's brand new, so there shouldn't be any wear on it, right? But we think that between those two, or at least talking with one of the guys at FTI, we think that between those two parts, we should be able to get the transmission fixed. And the frustrating part is we have had this issue for a long time, and we've band-aided it with tighter torque converters than what the car should really need. So when we were working with the other shop we were getting our converters from, we kept saying this thing's still doing weird stuff, like it's driving through the converter. So we'd send the converter out to have it tightened up, and still had the same problem. Well, we didn't know enough to know that the converter charge pressure was not as high as it should have been, which kind of tells us that there was like a volume issue of getting the fluid into the torque converter. So we're really hoping for some better results. I mean, not that the 6 week results weren't awesome, but that was primarily because we stuck Spencer's transmission in the car. But we kind of have a feeling that if we get the converter charge pressure right, the gearing that's in SoccerMom's transmission, which is a 1.58 first gear, and Spencer's has a 1.80 first gear. So we think that that gearing will actually work better for what we're trying to do with the car. It'll definitely be faster when we pull all the weight back out and put the aggressive rear gear back in the car. It'll make it a good bit faster to the 8th mile, which I say a good bit faster. A good bit faster may only be 5 or 6 hundredths. But what the other gear does is it makes the car less violent right at the release of the trans brake, which if you saw the struggles we had the last day of 6 week, you know, the thing wanted to spin the tires right at the release of the trans brake. So we had to do some power tuning to take some of the sting out of the release of the trans brake. So hopefully you guys picked up something out of all that. It's a constant learning process for us. I think anybody who thinks they know everything about everything is wrong. And hopefully us passing on things that we learn can help you guys out. So that's going to do it for this video. Appreciate everybody watching, subscribing, following along. We've got some fun stuff coming up with Clay Milliken this weekend. I've got some stuff going on with my car. I've got some ideas if I can't sell some different pieces that I'm taking out of the thing. But anyways, thanks again for watching. See you guys next time.